I'm back. It's Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review with another one of my Roundball Review conversations. This one, I think if you don't know who this young man is, well, let me introduce you to Kelly Iko with The Athletic. Is it The Athletic Houston officially or just The Athletic?
Just The Athletic.
So The Athletic, he covers the Rockets and the NBA, and he is a star, rising star. I'm glad he's taking time to talk to me about some Rockets, man. How you doing, man?
Appreciate it, OG. Appreciate you for taking the time. Appreciate this.
How long have you been with The Athletic?
This is now I'm going on my fourth year now. Well, next season will be my fourth year. So I've been there for three and a half years.
And where did you work before The Athletic?
So before The Athletic, I covered the Rockets for USA Today, the sports media group, Rockets Wire. I also worked for ESPN Houston, the radio station. I did a couple of work there. I also worked for the Dream Shake. I've worked for Space City Scoop. I've done freelance for Vice. I've done freelance for Bleacher Report. I've done freelance for Fox. I've done pretty much everything.
See, I didn't realize your experience was that deep. I know you did time at Rockets Wire and things like that, but I was like, I thought this is just a young dude, covering the Rockets, and here he is. But when I did check your bio, I was like, wow, you've been doing this a long time.
Yes, sir.
Now you went to Texas, right?
I went to Texas and I went to UHD, University of Houston downtown. I went to both of them.
Now, was journalism your major?
No.
Or is that your passion?
I fell into journalism. It was never my major. It was never even my passion growing up. I mean, it was something where I kind of fell into it. I remember in class at UT, we were in a career building class. And the point of the class was to kind of see what field we wanted to go down after school. So they put us in groups. And I remember the objective was somebody would talk to you. You write what you want on a piece of paper. You write your interest. You give to somebody. They give back to you, and they offer their suggestions of what you should or what you could think about. So at the time, I wrote, basketball, numbers, analytics, stories, like stuff like that. And I gave it to somebody, and she gave it back to me, and she was like, "Have you ever considered being, an NBA writer, a sports journalist?" And at the time, I was like, well, hell no. Like I thought it was such a hard field to get into. I thought it was a white man's club. I thought they struggled like teachers do. I didn't think it was a kind of fruitful venture.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, no, just give it a try. You never know. You could be good at it. So that night, I went back to my room. I went online, looked, for NBA blogging sites. I found one, Space City Scoop, a small blog on Fansided that wrote about the Rockets. I applied. They asked for a sample writing, and I had written in the past, like short stories. I had gone to competitions, the Rising Stars, all that stuff back in the day. But
Mm-hmm.
those were like poems and short stories. I had never written about sports. So, they liked it. They brought me on. My first task was to write a game preview. It was a Rockets Spurs game preview. So I did that. It was like 2017. Yeah, that was 2017. And I had just started writing about the Rockets during, like, right before that first round playoff series. It was during a whole year of, the Harden and Russ MVP, the triple doubles, all that stuff. And that was an interesting year for sure. The Rockets lost in 6 to the Spurs. The infamous Game 6.
Right.
Game 6 where, Harden appeared to be concussed or whatever. But, that was the first year. And from there, I just got more experience. I ended up looking for a summer internship. I got it with ESPN Houston. They brought me in. But at first they wanted me to do, like the radio stuff. But I didn't want to do radio. I didn't want to be a radio intern because I've seen hundreds of them come through that place and, not end up anywhere. So I asked if I could write. And they said, okay, well, you can do the social media side and, do podcast reviews and write on the side. So I was doing that. And I remember one week they needed somebody to cover an event at Toyota Center. But it just so happened that there was nobody in the building that day but me and the program director and a couple others. So he asked if I wanted to go. And I'd never done anything of the sort, so I said, yeah, for sure. That sounds amazing. So they gave me a task to stream from Facebook Live, and I was going to just sit in the event. I was supposed to shadow somebody who was going to show me the ropes. At the time, I think I had like 400 followers on Twitter, something like that. So I get there. I'm at the event. I'm shadowing. Actually, no, the person wasn't even there to shadow. But it was people. It was probably you were probably there. Fagan, all those guys were there. I think the event was. It was either the Rockets were announcing that they were selling the team, or the Chris Paul trade. I'm trying to remember which one came first. I think it was the team being sold, right? That was first before Chris Paul trade. I mean, yeah, before Chris Paul signing, or was it the other way around?
I think it was up. I think that was. You're right. You're right in that thing because I think Chris Paul came after Tillman.
Okay, so it was. It was the day the Rockets were announcing that there was some that Alexander was on the team, and I remember streaming. People are commenting, "Who the hell is this guy?" Blah blah blah. So I just got more experience from that, and they kept going, sending me to more and more events. That summer, and I was getting more comfortable just being around NBA players, being around NBA people in general, being around journalists. Then when it came back time to go back to school, that was when the season was starting. So, you know how the season goes, you apply for credentials and stuff like that. So every outlet applies for credentials. And obviously at the station, they have the guys that are going to get credentialed, like the main people there. But I applied. They told me no, obviously. But they said, look, if there's ever space before a game, if you email us like 72 hours in advance, we'll see if we can fit you in. So I said, that works for me. So any game that I will just send an email to PR, they will let me know yes or no. And if there was, I would leave after class from Austin, drive around 4:30, get to Houston at like 7, walk straight to the arena. They would sit me way in the
right. Yep.
So way over there. After the game, I would
there we go.
Be in the locker room, but I would be way up, and I couldn't really see much, but I was in the building. And after the game, I would do my thing, kind of see how you guys operate, maneuver, try and talk to guys. I was nervous at first, but then I would drive back to Austin that same night. I get to Austin like 3 a.m. And I did that all season. Of course, I was writing for ESPN Houston and stuff like that, SB Nation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of building my experience. And as time goes throughout the season, you get more and more comfortable doing this. You learn the do's and do nots of journalism. You know how to approach guys, how not to approach guys, how to talk to coaches, how not to talk to coaches, so how to be in that space in general. So I think as the season was ending, I got approached by Rockets Wire.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me if I wanted to cover them for the playoff run. And that was the year that the Rockets were supposed to go to the finals.
Right.
And I killed that playoff run. I was on top of everything. I was, building my source base, getting more relationships, trying to break news here and there.
Right.
People didn't believe me at first because that's just how it is. They trust a certain amount of people and they don't like newcomers.
Right.
But I didn't give a shit. I was trying to do, and I wasn't even trying to come in as a newsmaker. I was just so happens that when you talk to people and you learn things and you want to report them, like you kind of have to, So after that playoff run, the summer came, and I was wondering like what's next for me. Then that summer was the summer of Clint Capella's free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to break the signing 7 minutes before Woj did, which was crazy. And I heard my name, and I got a shout out from Amin El-Hassan on SportsCenter. And then my phone started blowing up because now people were like, okay, who the hell is this guy? How did he get this shit before Woj? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I got a DM from Marcus Thompson, who said, the OG scribe out of the Bay Area, who said that The Athletic that was still pretty new was expanding to other cities, and they had Astros coverage, but they were going to expand to Texans and Rockets and stuff like that. So he asked me if I was up for it, and I was like, "What? I didn't think that. I thought that was a prank. Like me? Like there are people who have covered, this team for over a decade. You know what I'm saying? Like people have been doing this at prestigious outlets and who you would think would be way before me, but it was just look. I didn't think twice about it. I said, if you'll have me, I'll do it. And the plan at first was for me to be somebody's number 2, so they were going to hire somebody above me to kind of.
I remember that. Yeah.
But they couldn't get anybody. So I was by myself, and from that point on, I just went on a roll. I didn't even look back. I never looked back from that point on, and that's kind of where I have it today. So then I went back to school to get my journalism degree. I figured it would be good to have it, just have it in my back pocket. So I did that because I originally went to school for economics. Like I came because I'm Nigerian. I went for engineering and then switched to economics. Then I left UT. Then I came to UHD and went to media communications and journalism. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
That's cool, man. It's funny, people who watch this later, you didn't start out a journalism degree.
No.
Mine's a business. So
exactly.
That's how it all works out. It just I kind of just gravitated toward this.
Right.
And so I don't know if I'd recommend it for other folks, but
it's not something I would just say go do that path because it's like it's not normal. But it just takes a little bit of luck and timing.
Let's talk about the Rockets in this past season, man. How? Because I think the 2019-20 season, you began traveling with the team on the road, right? But when the pandemic hit, that got all knocked out.
Yeah.
So how did that impact your work? How did the pandemic, change your work?
I first started traveling 2018 when the Mellow. That was my first training camp. Whenever they went to Lake Charles. But it changed a lot because I remember where I was the day that the league shut down. The Rockets were supposed to be in LA. Well, they were going to LA, and I was going to go to LA to cover the game. Mm-hmm. But something about the week before, I just had a bad feeling. I was like, I might just cancel this flight. I wasn't too sure about the COVID stuff and how it was spreading. So I was like, let me just cancel this flight. So I canceled it in the morning. And lo and behold, that night, the Jazz game and the Thunder game and all this just comes at once. So it changed a lot. I used to hate traveling. I used to hate the process of going to airports and going to security and looking for your bag and all that stuff. And right when COVID hit, I took all that for granted because I missed it. I missed being in hotels in different cities, getting ready to cover a game and being in different arenas and different atmospheres and seeing different people. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's fun.
Right.
It's the best part of the job, and I missed that the most once COVID hit. And then obviously the access. I'm someone who's very people oriented. I need to talk to you, look at you, communicate with you, get your vibe. Right. And without being allowed in locker rooms, just Zoom, it was kind of weird. Like last season was weird. Like the bubble was so weird for me. It was just I didn't feel connected to my job. I was just doing it. Like the joy was taken out of it. And then this season you kind of adapt, once reality sets in and this is kind of the norm until, things get back to normal. But, it's different. It makes you rely on your creativity. It makes you rely on your relationships. It makes you rely on, just on your pen. Like you have to find a way because everyone has the same. Everyone's going to have the same quotes. 85% of articles going to have the same quotes.
Right.
You might not use all of them, but everybody heard the same thing. How can you tell a story that's intriguing and can bring people to your site to want to read it?
Right.
So that was the biggest thing for me. The change, without traveling, having to adapt on the fly. But it also makes you a better writer because you learn other ways to engage people. Because like for me, previously I was somebody who I had all my articles had some color to it, like to kind of bring you into my world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I'm in the arena, I'm in the locker room, stuff on off days and stuff like that. Without that, you kind of have to get creative in other ways. So I will say the pandemic made me a more polished writer for sure. If you just look at my old stuff and stuff now, it's you can definitely see a change. It's still great, but I'm just saying it's different in a good way. And that was the one thing about the pandemic that kind of altered it for me.
Do you believe virtual media is here to stay for us?
I hope not. And I understand why. Like I saw an article today about the NFL. They're going to restrict. They're not opening up locker rooms to reporters. And the NFL's always kind of been like that in terms of like restricted access. They don't really like people getting close to the players and stuff like that. I hope not. You know, you're seeing during this playoff run, fans are damn near back at 100%. Looks like it's 100%.
Yeah.
The next game looked like there was no social distance, nothing. The Jazz, like I'm seeing all these arenas with packed to the brim. So I'm hoping at least, you know, that people can get back to locker rooms because that's what makes the game great. You know, those relationships. You know, summer league, being around the players, being close to people around the league. That's what makes this thing go. And I'm pretty sure players don't really care because, I mean, there's some that will, but players, for the most part, don't give a shit. Like if you're...
Yeah, that's true. You know, some players take it or leave it. But for media, for me and you, some of the fun that we have, you know, chopping it up before the games, after the games, you know, in the locker rooms, waiting to talk to a player off the side, you know, little small talk, chit chat. That's the best part of it.
Right.
Because, like you said about the quotes, folks, you know, a difference between fans and us is locker room access.
Right.
Because we're in there talking to, you know, about whatever, you know, waiting for them to talk to us. You may never learn, you know, may never know what you pick up.
Right.
But the quotes and things like that folk, you know, fans can pull from our work and everybody like that, you know. So I hope we can get back into the locker rooms.
Right.
But, you know, time will tell because, you know, the teams can control the narrative, you know, really control how you do things going forward. So we'll see how it plays out. Let's talk on the court, man. Rockets 17-55.
Lord.
At what point, was there a point this season that you realized, or did you think they're just not going to win? It's just, this season's a wash.
I think it was the game after the Harden trade in San Antonio. I was actually there and just seeing the emotion and how they had to win that game. So this thing is done for these guys. Like they just don't have it, and it's not an indictment on their part. Like they lost, arguably one of the top 5 Rockets ever in history. You know, some of that, an entire offense for almost a decade was curtailed to his style of play.
Right.
And the winning process was going to take more than that. See, like it was going to take a while. Like this period, like. And that's before you factor into all the injuries. You know, you have to take into the fact that you have a new head coach, Steven Silas, who's coming in with his new staff, trying to build something. You know, some of the Rockets that were there still had to get out the old staff, you know, and those tendencies and those X's and O's, and learn, you know, new plays and how these guys interact. And now you're dealing with the off-court drama. You're dealing with COVID stuff still. Then you put the injuries and the lack of consistency and rotations, and it was just a mess. And when you add all that up together and you factor in an NBA that's not getting any easier, you got to have a 17-55 record. That's just the way it is.
I think some folks don't really want to comprehend how much of lack of practice and the injuries.
They barely practiced.
Yeah.
For a young team, that is the killer. Like it's hard to the practice court is where you like for older teams, yeah, you don't need as much practice time. Like if this was the 2019 Rockets team or 20, it wouldn't have bothered them that much, you know. But a team like this where the average age is less than 25.
Yeah.
You need that time on the practice floor to learn the way of the game. Like, this is not college. This is not the G League. This is not overseas. You have guys from all walks of life. Jae'Sean come from overseas. You have people like KJ Martin who were, came from a smaller academy. You have people like Christian Wood who are stepping into a whole new role. People like Sterling Brown who bounce around the league. You have people like, you can go down the list of names. Kevin Porter Jr., who was a project, who had to get off, that Cleveland stuff and look for a new life here. Like, it's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. And without practice time, you're essentially, just those games are your practice time. Because I remember Stephen Silas gave a quote where he said they were using shoot-arounds as ways to introduce players to each other.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Like, when you think about it, there was no other time to do it but then. Like, how can you possibly? It was a mess. So, can you really blame the players that were there for what happened? Not really. Like, they were signing guys off the street at one point, just seeing who had a pulse and throw you on the court. So,
and we say all that. I got to ask you. I mean, I know my stand is on this. Do you think Stephen Silas is in trouble?
Trouble? Well, it depends on what you define trouble as. I think if they have a slow start, I think if they come out the gate slow, he could be in trouble. Because I just think perception. Like, I think personally, I don't think he should be in trouble. Like, you gave him, a terrible hand to play with. And even going into year 2, you're still going to need time to get those guys together because you can make the argument that half this team won't be here next season. You could do that.
Right.
Because if you want to improve as a team from a rebuild standpoint, you can't bring back the majority of a 17-win team. It's not conducive. So I don't know. I think he signed a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal?
4-year deal.
I think you should give him 2 years. Give him another season to see how. Because, to be fair, he wasn't perfect. There are things he could have done differently, rotations and, stuff like that. But he's also learning as well. Like, it's a new thing for everyone. You're not going to go from where they were as a finals contender to this and just expect people to just turn the page immediately. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. You have to give enough time for everyone to get acclimated to the new surroundings, and that includes the head coach and the coaching staff. So, I don't think he should be in trouble. But then again, I'm not telling Fertitta. I'm not the one that makes those decisions. But personally, no, I don't think he should be in trouble.
We're on the same page there. Okay, put on your Rafael Stone hat. You're general manager right now for the next 5-10 minutes. Fix the Rockets for next season. Who's coming back?
Who's coming back? I'm not bringing Olynyk back.
You're not?
No.
What's the right reasoning for that?
Because here's how I see it. Before the trade, he was making $13 million a year.
Yep.
He was not going to make anything close to that in the offseason. Before the trade, his value was all the way down.
Right.
He wasn't a factor for them. Now coming to Houston, his stock went up considerably. You could see him realistically getting that or even a bit more in the open market this summer, especially in a market where there's not that many great free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Teams got to pay somebody. So, does Kelly Olynyk really push the needle for you as in the rebuild? No, I don't think he does. Like the experiment of playing him with Christian Wood, yeah, it worked from the standpoint of you can play two bigs together. But if your main focus is having Christian Wood be your focal point, for the next 5-6 years, Stephen Silas didn't trust him to guard big men. Like, he didn't trust him to guard those big centers. You saw what happened in those Phoenix games. He put Olynyk on Hayden because Christian Wood wasn't able to do it. So the money standpoint, you have a lot of money committed to John Wall. You have a lot of money committed to Eric Gordon for the next couple of years. You have to get off that money if you're trying to be a real rebuild. So I wouldn't bring him back. I wouldn't bring I want to bring. Well, if you list names, I can tell you who if I would or not. So I think they have like 8 free agents, 9 free agents. Sterling Brown, I wouldn't bring him back. Waba, I might. But all those things, like when you have a roster like the Rockets said, you have to think outside the box first before you can worry about these guys. You have to because there are names out there that you can bring in that because you have if you're going to be an over the cap team, they still have the mid level exception, right? So that's 10 million. You can still break that up. Realistically, you could break that up and sign 3 young players on the open market, right? You could go if Olynyk walks, why not bring in Lauri Markkinen? That's someone you can take a product on. You already seen that you can play 2 bigs together. If you and it depends on the draft too, because if you get the number 1 pick, you get Cade Cunningham, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's going to be your 3, right? So you're going to come into the season with John Wall, Kevin Porter Jr., Cade Cunningham, Jae'Sean Tate, Christian Wood, right? So now you have to worry about your bench. You bring in someone like Lauri, you add him to, a second unit of Eric and House, maybe bring in someone like throwing off a sheet at Malik Monk, throwing off a sheet at Taylor Horton Tucker. You bring in those young guys that are on your timeline because you're on a different timeline now. You're looking for younger guys, 25 or below, that could stand to develop with big roles, right?
So no more Avery Bradley.
Okay.
No more DJ Augustine, DJ Wilson.
I would keep Augustine just because he's a pros pro and you need that kind of guy in the locker room. I would keep Augustine. I would not keep Wilson. So Avery's gone, Wilson's gone, Brown's gone, Waba's probably gone. Olynyk is gone. I don't know who else I'm thinking of. I'm blanking right now.
We got Armani Brooks.
I would hang on to Armani, actually. I like Armani.
Kyrie
Thomas, I would hang on to him as well. You still need guys that you can send to the G League. Like you still need those kind of players. Like you can still put them on 2 ways. So I would hang on to those guys. Like those are good players. Like Armani just needs seasoning. He needs to become a better defender.
Mm-hmm.
He's flat out shooting, and the Rockets don't have any type of shooting. So a team like Houston that was discrepant of all outside shooters should not be turning their nose down at shooters. I don't think they should be doing that. So I would hang on to those guys. But if I was a GM, if I'm Stone, this team looks nothing like it did last season. Like it just can't.
Would you keep all 3 first-round picks?
No, you don't need all 3 first-round picks. At most you need. If you get Cade, you don't need.
Agreed.
You don't really need the other 2. Like I get why you would want to pick one. If you can get Chris Duarte, maybe at 21, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Kispert probably go. He'll probably be gone by then. But if you can get a sharpshooter, even a Garuba out of Real Madrid, if you get guys like that, then I can see the value in hanging on to 3. But you don't need 3 first-round picks. No, you package those 2. If I was
right. This is you talking, yeah.
I would honestly. Okay, I would trade Eric. I would attach those 2. Bring in somebody making $12 million. Just lower the cap hit. You steadily lower the cap hit, making those kind of under the radar moves, shrewd moves, and focus on 2022 because everybody's gonna be on the table in 2022. You can get your hands on somebody. The next year's class of draft class, next year's free agent class is loaded.
Right. Yeah.
So if you can clear the books, hell, I would even trade John during the season. Like you need to clear that money off the table at some point if you want to. Because John, if you think John doesn't want to be in Houston, like let's keep it real. If you want to,
yeah, that's true.
And the Rockets,
no doubt.
The Rockets showed me last season that they are trying to rebuild their image. Under Morey, they were known as the ruthless team that doesn't give a shit about your feelings and they're going to send you wherever they go. Last season showed me the different side. Like they helped PJ go to a winning situation. They helped James, and they helped. They put guys in winning situations. You can argue for Russ, like it was a good situation for him. Like he put well the season. So if you want to do the same with John, do right by John. you can trade him and you get off that money, or you get a buyout. Anything to lower your cap hit for 2022, where they should be looking at right now. Nothing else.
But do you think Tillman would agree to a buyout for John?
I do. I mean,
I think it makes sense.
It makes sense. For sure it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you want to pay him $91 million?
Because he's not part of the long-term.
No, he's not. Like, he's not on your timeline.
Right.
He's not on your timeline. And I think that trade was done with a view to be competitive. Had he played with James, it might have been much different. But, now when after reality sets in, you got to do things a little differently.
Do you think John has had or will have that talk with the organization that he wants to go somewhere else?
Yeah, you have to.
This summer or during the season?
Or during the season. This summer, you just need time apart, decompress. They have a lot of things to think about their own, before they address guys under contract. They have 9 free agents. In the draft and stuff like that, summer league. But I do think at some point during the year, I think John and Eric will have those talks.
And they should.
They should. Like you have to think about it. If you're John and Eric, your career, you're in your 30s. You have to think about your NBA mortality. Like, people crucify James for what he did, but look at what he's doing now. He's in a better situation for himself. Like, you have to think about yourself at the end of the day. This is a cutthroat business. Like, you can't sit around being all happy-go-lucky and, this team loves me. No. That's why this thing with Dame, if I'm Dame this summer, I'm putting them pieces together. I'm starting to think about my future. No,
I agree.
You're not winning at Portland. Like, you're just not going to win.
That's a fact. I mean, it's close. It's our opinion, but it's almost as close to a fact as it can get. Yeah. So, all right. Let me see, Kelly, but really, I like this conversation because, me and you haven't talked like this
in a minute.
It's been a while, man. So, what was? Are you going to go to Vegas for Summer League?
Oh, I'm there for sure. If it's going on, I'm in there. What? I'm in Summer League so much, man. Like, and it'll be good to see. For obviously, if they get Cade or whoever they get, who's going to play. But seeing some of the younger guys too, and seeing how they improve, because that's going to be important. For next season. How did KJ Martin get better? How did Jae'Sean get better? Because they played well for what was expected, but they still got some work to do with their own game. So, I'm gonna go.
I hope to go. If I can get my mom's health situation taken care of, I'm gonna try to go to Summer League. Yeah. So yeah. But oh man, it's one of the main reasons why I did not attend games at Toyota Center this season was just to take care of her. So, but she's been battling health issues for a long, long time. So we're getting close to that point of make sure she's stable. But I read your article about Armani Brooks, and one of the things you touched on in that the 10 questions, he's going to work out with the Rockets without a contract?
Yeah. We've seen that before, but I'm under understanding that, they like him a lot, but like I said, they still have they have a list of stuff they got to do, priority list.
Okay, because
is Armani Brooks top of the priority list? No. But, he's someone that they could be better next season. I could see that happening. But they like him enough to have him stick around and work out.
Okay, so as long as his insurance taken care of, that's good because, real talk, man, because if he doesn't have a contract and he gets hurt, I want to make sure he's taken care of from that
that's true.
Perspective. So that's all.
That's a good point.
So when I read that, I was like, okay, Armani, I hope your people know what they're doing, man. So, but because I've covered him near the U of H. So
yeah, you did. So you know him pretty well.
So so I just want to make sure about that. That's all taken care of.
Yeah.
Tell me about your friendship / relationship with Rocket Insider, Alykhan Bijani.
That's my guy, man. He went to UT with me, and that's where we met. And he's just.
How'd y'all meet?
How do we meet? I think I sent him a DM. I think it was around that time where I was trying to make connections, and I sent him a DM, and he didn't respond at first. I don't think, he didn't respond at first, and then, I'm trying to remember what happened, but he saw it. He saw it somehow, and it turned out we went to the same school, so we decided to meet up, and the rest we just clicked instantly. Like, that's my guy. Like, he's such a, and people don't know that this man is in like mid school. Like,
I know.
Like, he's doing all this film stuff and X's and O stuff, and he's actually working to save lives. Like, at the end of the day, he's good. He's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know when he sleeps because
it's just a passion for him. Yeah,
yeah.
Like this is my guy, man. Like, he's just such a hard worker, and I'm glad that he's getting everything he's getting right now, but he still needs more opportunities for sure, because this guy can do his thing. There are some people I trust more than him in terms of film and understanding the game, X's and O's.
I could see him working for an NBA franchise.
I've told him that before, like either as an advanced scout or something. Like,
yes,
you just do it. Like, that job fits his profile perfectly. But man, I want to be a doctor. So.
I mean, I respect that. I mean, there's some you've heard some athletes go back to med school and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got his number too, but I need to tell him. You tell him for me.
I've told him multiple times.
So yeah, man, go to advanced scout, work for franchise, man. Then go to med school. I mean, so
like, if he could do it, if you do it for like 3, 4, like, how crazy of experience that would be. Do it for 3 years.
He could be great at both of them.
Yeah.
Just take time to do it. He could, because the times I've talked to him and seen him and just listened to him, he's the type of dude that he could be great at both of them.
Right.
How long do you want to be at the Athletic, man? Forever?
I mean, how long do I have me? I love where I'm at. It's good company. I can see that they are invested in me. But yeah, you never know. I like where I'm at though, so I will say that. But like I said, I've said too many times. Like, look at the players. Like, you say one thing and then you never know. So, yeah, it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be for sure. Good editors, good structure, good front office, or good board. How you want to put it. It's a good place to be.
Where do you get your ideas for your stories?
So I really get them when I'm in the shower. Like, I'm in the shower thinking of leads for stories and ideas. Like, I do that when I'm showering, when I'm eating. When I look at some of my colleagues, like, you'll see someone like James Edwards with the Pistons, who's super creative. Guys like that. It's always good to pull stuff from other places, because no one person can tell you honestly that they just think everything themselves. That's a lie. We pull from everywhere. Stuff I see on TV, stuff I see here on the radio, stuff I hear from other writers. Like, those give my juices flowing. So the creative process, as it pertains to like bigger features and stuff, because obviously as a beat writer, you have the stuff you got to do, the everyday, stuff. To keep the beat going. But like, when you get time and opportunity to do the other bigger stuff, that's the stuff I like the profiles and the features and stuff like that. And I really enjoy that. And that's what I miss from a normal world. Like, you could just profile somebody for a couple of days and get a good story, but now you have to worry about the restrictions. Do they have the vaccine? Do they, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on. So it's different now.
In your opinion, how long will it be before the Rockets return to elite status?
Elite?
No, elite status. Elite. Let's jump right into it.
4 seasons.
Okay, playoffs.
2.
Is that in top 6 or is that 7 to 10 for the play-in?
7-10. Well, yeah. If they get somebody good in 2022, I can see them making the top 6. But that's going to take a lot of development, a lot of stuff. I think right now where they are, you might see them in the playoffs in 2025. So be prepared.
So, okay, you said playoffs in 2025.
Like playoff meaning they can
top
win,
4 seed?
They can win a first round series. Playing, if they really wanted to make the play-in, they can make it by the season after this one. It's possible. The 10th seed, like that's not. All you gotta do is be better than 5 teams. It's not crazy to think of. But yeah, I can see that 2023, 2024. I can see them making a plan if they really wanted to, but it depends on what they want to do. Because going by for what they said, it don't seem like they're trying to make the play-in next season.
Yeah, what was your take on what Rafael and Coach Silas said in the exit press conference?
You mean about what?
About the development, about how far along they are in the process and running back actually being good.
It's confusing to me, kind of. I mean, I get it from the standpoint of you want to develop, but Rafael said he wants a quick rebuild, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Tillman said they're not trying to make a move where they could make the play-in next season and push the team back from winning the championship. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like they have different ideas of where the rebuild is. Rafael wants a quick turnaround. And that's possible, but you need a lot of luck.
Yeah.
You need a lot of luck. And then once reality sets in, it might not be that quick. So that's why I tell Rockets fans, you got to be patient because there might be some bumpy times. Might be. And that's even if you have a relatively healthy season. Let's say the Rockets were healthy all year last season. How many games did they win? 25? Like, what is the injuries really why they were dead last in the league?
No.
So it's going to be a while.
Well, I agree with you, man. You know, Rocket fans don't want to agree with you. They don't want to hear it, though.
I mean, some do.
Some, the realistic ones, but it's part of being a fan, too. You know, we're not fans. So
yeah,
we're coming at it from a different perspective.
Right.
All right, man. Kelly Iko, man, thanks for taking time to chop it up with me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, bro.
And maybe we'll see each other in Vegas, man, because if we do, that's all I'm going to say, man.
Boy's going to hold the door for me.
Kelly Iko with Athletic, man. Thank you, brother. Take time. Take care.